So now let's get to the Q&A from our parents. Let's get to the Q&A from our parents.
Hello?
Good morning, Sister Mary. You're live with Dr. Umar. How are you today?
Good morning.
How are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm well. Where are you calling from in New York? One of the boroughs or one of the other cities?
One of the boroughs, Manhattan.
Manhattan. Go right ahead with your question, good sister.
I have a 2-year-old, and when I gave birth to him in 2020, he had received an illegal blood transfusion, but I've noticed in he has like a slight delay in his speaking and responding to like when you speaking to him.
Okay. Well, right off the top, the pediatrician can order speech and language therapy for him right now. So you need to speak with the pediatrician about getting him some speech and language therapy immediately so we can rule that out as a possible cause for the issue. Once he turns 3 years old, when will he turn 3?
November 26th.
Okay, so on November the 26th, you can actually call New York City Public School District Early Intervention or Preschool Office or Special Education Office, and you can request that he be evaluated for speech and language impairment. Speech and language impairment, SLI. That's one of the 13 federal special education disabilities. And federal special ed begins at age 3 and it goes all the way up to age 21. It ends with either high school graduation or the 21st birthday, whichever comes first. And he can get speech and language at 3 years old until he begins kindergarten. And if you feel that he still needs speech once he begins kindergarten, he can continue to receive speech at that time. But on his birthday, I would get him evaluated for speech and I would get him some speech therapy to make sure that that's not the issue. The other thing you want to do is make sure he gets an audiological evaluation. Audiological, not just a regular hearing assessment. Because what I found in my 25 years of studying school psychology and clinical psychology, I found that children can pass a routine hearing exam and still fail the audiological evaluation. So you want to make sure you get him an audiological. It's a much deeper and a much more comprehensive hearing assessment, not just the one that the school nurse gives you or the pediatrician gives you. You need an audiological to see if there's anything going on with his hearing at a deep level, if there's any hearing loss. So we have a speech issue that needs to be ruled out. We have a hearing loss issue that needs to be ruled out. We don't want to look to autism because he's too young. I would not let my child get evaluated for autism at that age. The soonest I would do it would probably be 6 years old. I wouldn't do it before 6, and I'm really not comfortable having it done before 7. Because with conditions like autism and ADHD, these conditions are diagnosed through observation. There's no tests that tells you a child has autism. You have to rule in or rule out autism with the naked eye. You know, the assessments can help, but the assessments don't make the determination. It is the naked eye that makes the determination. So I would get the audiological and I would get him speech therapy through the pediatrician. And then when he turns 3, I would get him additional speech therapy through the school district. And if I were you, I would not tell the school district that he's already getting speech therapy through the health insurance or through the hospital, because the school district like to push their responsibility on the hospital, and the hospital likes to push their responsibility on the school district, even though you're dealing with 2 different pockets of money. With the school, you're dealing with education money, and with the hospital, you're dealing with healthcare money. So technically, he can get speech therapy through the hospital, through the pediatrician, as well as through the school district. So you don't want to let your right hand know what your left hand is doing. And I would also get him into some type of a preschool, daycare. Make sure he gets the opportunity to socialize with other children, because what we don't want is we don't want him to appear to start looking autistic because he has delayed social skills when we've never really given him an opportunity to develop those social skills by working with other children his age.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. I truly appreciate you reaching out. Are you going to be coming to the New York area?
I'm sure I am. I don't have New York City on the schedule right now. I will be speaking at Pace University on April the 21st. I know that's right outside of New York. Pace University, there's going to be a forum for Latino Pan-Africanists, and we're going to talk about how to bridge the divide between American African Pan-Africanists and Latino Pan-Africanists in Central and South America. That's the closest I'll be coming on March the 21st, Pace University. And then I'll be in Union, New Jersey on May 7th for their Juneteenth celebration. They're having it early.
Okay. Oh, they're having it early?
Yes. And you can text me for any of that information as well, the flyers.
Okay, at this same number?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you so much.
No problem, Queen.
Appreciate what you're doing, and keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you, Queen.
Thank
Be
you.
blessed. All right.
Yes.
I need you to text your first name, not just your city. I'm not texting your name. Text your name and your city. Please follow directions. If you don't follow directions, your child will not be at the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy. Name and city. Name and city. No answer there.
Yeah, I'm here. Hello?
Yes, indeed. Brother James, how's Washington, D.C. treating you?
It's doing well, sir. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Go right ahead with your question.
No, I was just talking to my cousin about the autism stuff because my daughter's mom got I want to say tested for autism. I just heard her say that it's not a test, it's an observation. But she's using the autism thing against me to, I guess, be around her. I guess like it's an issue now because she got autism. I don't know, but I just wanted to know about it. Like since you said it's not a what you say, a test.
How old is your daughter?
She's 11 actually.
Your daughter's 11. And your mother, are you saying she already had her evaluated for autism, or she's?
She said she did. She said she did.
Okay, so where is your copy? Where is your copy of your daughter's evaluation? Where is the psychological evaluation that determined your daughter has autism? Where is that evaluation?
Oh, well, I'm gonna ask her about it and find out.
Well, what you should do is find out where she got evaluated and get a copy directly from the place where she got evaluated. I'm assuming your parental rights have not been terminated, so that means you have a right to get all the paperwork that the mother has from the place the mother got it from. So if your daughter's mother is running around doing things behind your back regarding your child, then you're going to have to go to family court and get the judge to issue a statement that clarifies that you have shared legal custody, which means educational and medical decisions need to be made by both parents together, not one or the other. So you might have to get a letter from family court and make sure that that goes to all the agencies and schools that service your children so the mother can't play games. Now, why? Okay, she's telling you that she was already evaluated and classified. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay. So you don't agree?
I don't agree because I really just think she's shy, and because I seen her openly talking to her friends, but I just think she's shy. I was shy when I was a kid, so you know what I'm saying. I just think she's shy.
Well, 11 years old, she's definitely old enough to get evaluated for it, but I would presume that if she really had autism, that would have been discovered before the age of 11. I would think around 7, 8, 9. 11 still ain't too late, but you know, here's the question though. Here's the real big question when you're talking about autism and school. Okay. The question that has to be answered when you're dealing with autism in school: does the autism cause learning challenges for your daughter in the regular classroom? If her autism does not affect her learning, then she should not be in special ed. Do you know if she's in special ed or not?
No, she's actually in advanced classes. She's a straight A student, honor roll student.
Okay, so autism is not okay. So special ed is not an issue. So what was the mother's purpose for getting her tested then? What was the purpose?
I have no idea, but I believe.
Was she looking for an SSI check? Was this about money? She was looking for some free money, or I don't understand why she got her tested. If she's doing well in school, does she get along with her friends? Does she have friends? Does she have children?
She has a lot of friends.
She has a lot of friends. She's doing well in school. So I don't understand the purpose of the testing unless she just wanted to get some SSI money. I don't understand why she was tested at all.
Yeah, I don't know if it's about the money. Like me and her, like I said, me and her mom are co-parents, and we barely, like even to this day, that my daughter is 11, we still to this day barely know each other. So it's a bunch of issues going back and forth with me just trying to be around my daughter. So
okay,
the autism thing just came up once I presented that.
Okay, she's not on no medication, is she?
Nah.
Okay.
I believe it. Yeah, the autism thing just came up when I presented about the custody. I told her like that I wanted to split custody.
You can still split the custody, whether she has autism or not. She's not low functioning.
Yeah.
You just explained that your daughter is high functioning. She's high academics, high social functioning. So whether she's autistic or not, that is not going to affect your share of the custody unless she can prove you're an irresponsible parent. And I hope she didn't get that child labeled just to try to keep her away from you, because if she did, then she's a horrible mother. Nobody should be getting kids labeled just to keep away from their father. That's insane and ridiculous.
Right. Well, I'm gonna definitely look into the definitely do this custody stuff already was started. Well, was getting prepared right now, so the paperwork already getting prepared. So, but the autism thing was always throwing me off when I first heard about it. And
I got you. Well, when you get the evaluation, if you want me to look at it, just get back in touch with me.
I appreciate it, sir.
No problem, brother. Be blessed. All right.
Right.
No snow bunnies. No snow bunnies. No snow bunnies. No snow bunnies.
Hello.
Good morning, Sister Tony. How you doing?
I'm fine.
How is Indianapolis treating you?
Good.
All right. You know I'm going to be about an hour away in Terre Haute, Indiana on the 23rd, Thursday, March 23rd.
Yes, and I will follow you like I always do, even when I have to follow you to St. Louis.
Absolutely. So come on down if you can. We're going to be at the Booker T. Washington Community Center, and it's a free event from 6 to 9 on the 23rd.
Absolutely.
Go right ahead with your question.
Okay, so I've spoken with you before when you came down to Indianapolis about this. So my situation is kind of unique because I had a child at 26 weeks old.
Mm-hmm.
He had a bilateral head bleed because I'm an older woman having children.
Mm-hmm.
And now we get to school age. I kept him at home because he was a walking pool of germs. Like a cold could kill him, literally.
Mm-hmm.
So we put him in school this year because now everybody wants to do testing and everything. So the state of Indiana sent him to, and no, I do not get SSI, just so we're clear. The state of Indiana had him tested, and they said that he was intellectually delayed, okay, because of the head bleed. But then we put him in school. Unfortunately, I don't live in the best area, so I live in a economic stricken area that they tested him, and they said he is autism and something, ADHD. I have your book, so I went through your book and whatever, and I'm like, how is he walking with 3 different diagnoses? And he's only 10. And the young man is very strong in math, but he can't read yet. Well, they said, well, he has water in his head, and he has white aura, I believe is how you say it, in his brain, so that affects, like, what he can pick up. So my example is, if I sit him in front of a video game, which by the way I do not own, but if I did sit him in front of a video game, he couldn't cut it on. He couldn't do anything with it unless someone cut him on, set him up. But then right after he watches you, he can mimic everything you do. That's how he reads. If you read a paragraph with him, he will mimic it. But then within 2 to 3 hours later, he would forget the same paragraph he read. I'm going to say some of that obviously was bad parenting in the aspect of I had to worry about his life versus an education. So looking back, I did make some mistakes that I can own. However, the school now wants to put him in special education, but they only want to give him something called life skills. They're not worried about.
When is the last time your son was evaluated psychologically by the school psychologist?
Literally 2 weeks ago.
What grade is he in?
They put him in 3rd.
He's in the 3rd grade right now.
Right now.
He was evaluated 3 weeks ago. Is this the first time he was evaluated in the school for special ed purposes?
Yes, in his life. He's never been to a school, so yes, this is the first time.
Okay, so he was home until the 3rd grade.
Pretty much, yes.
Okay, and so obviously one of the first concerns I have is whether or not his academic deficiencies are related to the fact that he's been homeschooled all his life and is just now going into a structured public school. So we have to look at environmental and circumstantial factors that may be influencing his slow rate of achievement. So we got to look at that. That's one thing. Okay.
Absolutely.
Now, you said he was just evaluated 2 weeks ago. You have the psychological evaluation?
I do.
Okay, so you might want to schedule a private consultation with me to look at that. But my response to what we're discussing right here and now, they're requesting life skills. So in order for a child to qualify for life skills placement, just so we're clear, life skills is the lowest. It is the lowest academically functioning classroom in the entire special ed community. When you put a child in life skills, you're basically saying that the only thing this child is going to be able to do is sign their name, count their change, get on the bus, wash their behind, cook their meals. That's why they call it life skills, because it's all about teaching the child how to survive, because they don't believe that they can academically thrive. So one of the big issues for you as parent, do you believe your son is that low that he needs to be in a life skills class all day long? Because in order for a child to justifiably be put in a life skills support class, LSS is what it's called, life skills support. In order for a child to be justifiably put in a life skills support class, his IQ must be significantly in the deficient range, well under 70. So not even looking at the number, do you feel that's where your son is? Because those children are normally intellectually disabled. They could be mild intellectual disability. They could be moderate intellectual disability. They could be severe and profound intellectual disability. Do you believe he's that low?
I'm going to say intellectually, though, educationally wise, yes.
Okay, so here's the thing.
Because of the water and the white aura in his brain, as fast as he picks up something, he forgets it. Like, literally, I'm not joking. We have taught him how to tie his shoes time and time again. He still can't tie his shoes. He can tie it right at that moment you teach him, and then an hour later, he forgets exactly what he was supposed to do. And not to mention they have him on 30 different types of medications.
Well, stop right there. Stop right there. You just gave another clue to the puzzle. You said they have him on 30 different types of medications. So you know what you need to do? You need to investigate every medication and see if they affect cognitive functioning or memory. And I can almost guarantee you they do. But go ahead and look, because if he's taking a whole bunch of medications, that might be why he can't remember nothing. The side effects of the medications. So we got to make sure we're looking at this thing holistically for the young man.
Okay.
You feel where I'm coming from there?
Yeah, absolutely. And then, like I said, some of it is definitely bad parenting because I had to make a decision. Do I want to be educational mom or do I want to make sure my son lives?
Well, you need both. You need both. But what we have to get at, the bottom line hardcore decision for me as a certified school psychologist evaluating your child, the hardcore decision that must be made is, can this young man learn in a classroom other than life skills? Because that's the bottom of the bottom. When you see life skills, those children are nearly all intellectually disabled. Is he that low where all he can do is learn how to take care of himself on a daily basis? You know, how to catch the bus, how to wipe your backside, how to blow your nose, how to fill out a job application. That's what life skills is about. It's for the lowest functioning children. And because, number one, your son been home his entire life until third grade, that is a red flag for me, because this could be circumstantial and environmental more than academic and intellectual, number one, or at least related to it. I'm not saying it's totally that.
Oh, it is. It is.
Okay, so that's number one. And then number two, those medications. So we have a medical thing, a medical explanation, potentially. We have a medical explanation for this. And then we have an environmental and circumstantial explanation for this. You know, and to be honest with you, it's a disservice to your son to have him evaluated as soon as he walks into a school and he's never been taught in a school. I would have never done that. I wouldn't have done that. You might not want to share it in this conversation, but when we do the private consult, I need to see the eval because I want to see his IQ scores. In order for us to really go any further, Queen, I need to see what IQ test they gave him, what his IQ scores were, what his academic scores were. I need to see them scores to see if I believe he's that low where he has to go into a life skills classroom as a third grader. Because once you put him in life skills, he's not coming out because there's very little academics in life skills. That's why they call it life skills. Learning support is where the learning disabled children receive their special ed. Learning support, that's LS. But LSS is life skill support, and that's where intellectually disabled children get their support.
Got it. Well, I didn't sign anything because, like I said, I read your book. I didn't sign anything. I told them I had to think about it. And that's, you know, that's where we are right now.
I think the medications might be freezing I think the medications is messing your son up intellectually. You today, what you should do, you should take every pill and Google the side effects for every pill and come up with a comprehensive list of side effects. Because you might got 3 or 4 pills that are all causing cognitive problems, all causing memory problems. And then we got to have a conversation with the pediatrician, because if this stuff is messing with my son's ability to function intellectually, he'll never be able to learn. Like, do he absolutely need these pills?
I got it. I totally get it. Because his dad is wanting to send him to his country.
Well, what country is that?
It's Oaxaca, Mexico.
Okay, the father is Mexican. Is he an African Mexican or modern Mexican?
Black. He's very much black.
Okay, so let me ask you this. What language is spoken in your house? Has he been raised on Mexican versus English?
Yes, he definitely speaks Spanish and English. But he's
Woman, I'm gonna pull your fingernails out. If he's coming from a dual language home, is his primary language Mexican?
Yes, because lately we've been trying to get them to speak more Spanish.
Well, if the primary language is Mexican, I'm assuming that's the language of Mexican people. Is it called Mexican? I don't want to be disrespectful.
Well, they say Spanish, but yeah.
Okay, do Mexicans speak traditional Spanish like Puerto Ricans?
No, I think personally, now that I have went to school for Spanish, they speak a bastard down version, more like.
But they do speak Spanish, so there's no such thing as Mexican. There's no Mexican language. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, they speak Spanish. Thank you for educating me. Now, if your son is speaking Spanish, first of all, this was a big piece of the puzzle that you left out. Okay, if Spanish is being spoken in a home, that would also explain why he can't learn nothing in school. Because if they're instructing him in English and his native language is Spanish, he can't learn. So that would mean he should be getting ESOL, English as a second language. He should be an ESOL student. So you have to have a conversation with the school about your son getting an ESOL evaluation, ESOL, English as a second language, ESOL. ESOL.
They offered it.
Did they offer the evaluation, an ESOL evaluation?
No, because they said, because I speak English, I'm an American citizen.
That has nothing to do with it. It's about the language of the child. What you speak is irrelevant. What language does the child speak? Because now you're telling me this might be a whole language issue. This might be a language issue. If the boy speaks Spanish, then he needs to be instructed in Spanish.
Got it. I see what you're saying. Okay.
There's federal laws that say children have to be instructed in their native language or they have to be taught English. It's got to be one or the other. Either they're going to put him in a Spanish immersion school where he's taught in Spanish, or they got to put him in an ESOL program where he will be taught English. But if the boy speaks Spanish, how can we talk about anything else until he's language appropriate?
Got it. I totally get it. I see what you're saying. Okay. So, well, I'm going to text you and we're going to...
The official language of Mexico is Spanish, which is spoken by 90% of the people. Indian languages of the Aztecs and Mayans and other tribes are still spoken throughout the country. Originally, there may have been more than 200 roots of native languages. Okay, so they do speak Spanish. Okay, so yes, I got a question for you. Is there a reason why you guys were not teaching him both English and Mexican at home? Why wasn't he speaking both?
Okay, so we did, so that we wouldn't have to pay for babysitters or what have you. I would work day shift because I'm HR, and his dad would work nights because he owns a restaurant. So what we would do is he would have them in the day and I'd have them at night. So he did get English, but he got more because obviously my hours are longer. When you're the boss, you can work when you want to work. So he would get more Spanish than English, and so what he would end up doing is, Camila mama. So he would speak what we like to joke and call it Spanglish. And so he would speak English and Spanish starting out, but he didn't even start speaking until he was 3 years old.
Okay.
So that, and I live next door to Arabics. They have the same problem. People in biracial homes tend to, especially when two different languages are spoken, their linguistics is a little off. But they also, what they say is, they are also smarter because they have to learn two languages at the same time.
Well, a child learning two languages at the same time is a good thing, okay? Those children tend to end up being intellectually more advanced than others, believe it or not. So I'm not against the fact that he was speaking Spanish and English at home. It just seems like we didn't do a good job of completely teaching him both or either. You follow me? It wasn't the fact that it was two languages, is that he really didn't get sufficient basic instruction in either English or Spanish.
That's true. Okay. And like I said, that's why I started off. I see a lot of errors because I have a set of adult kids. One's a doctor, one's in the military, and one's a nurse. So I just didn't, you know what I'm saying? As a parent, I'm sure you, being a school psychologist, have learned that sometimes you put what you think is important first. And so his health was
I got you.
more important.
I got you.
And
We were so focused on the health that the academics suffered.
Absolutely. So I
don't blame you for that. I don't blame you for that because at the end of the day, we want to make sure he's going to be alive.
Now, what I will say is, which is weird, and then I'll let you go to your next caller. He knows so much. Like he can tell you, like he got in trouble for telling them on Martin Luther King Day how they killed his mom and his brother. So like there's things that he can pick up. So his black consciousness is so on point. But if you ask him to read what he just did or write what he just did, he can't do it. But he can engage you in an intellectual conversation in either English and Spanish. It's just when it's time to do the academic part, he cannot do it. And I don't know, and I'm lost. But I'm definitely going to schedule something private with you before I sign these papers. And I am definitely wanting to point out the school has kind of been mean and nasty once I didn't sign the papers right away. Not that I can't.
Once you didn't sign what papers?
The IEP papers. You have to sign papers. Me and Dave.
You signed permission to evaluate for him to get tested in the first place, because he doesn't get tested without you giving him permission. So you signed permission for him to get the evaluation. So that means the evaluation came back with what disability? What did they determine he has?
The school said autism and ADHD.
Schools don't evaluate for ADHD. ADHD is an outside diagnosis. You can't get that inside of a school.
That's what they put on his paper.
Well, that's illegal. No school can diagnose a kid with ADHD. Is a clinical. That is a clinical diagnosis. It is not a special education disability.
Oh, okay. Side note, this is something that I did where I dropped the ball. I went in too honest. I took the state test to the people before I ever even had him evaluated.
Exactly. So you made them aware that he was diagnosed on the outside with ADHD.
That's what happened.
Why was he tested for ADHD at all? ADHD is the least of his concerns.
The neurologist just suggested that she wanted to see how much damage the white mass and the water in his head caused. And that's what started to trickle down.
But ADHD is diagnosed through observation. There's no test for ADHD. Like autism, even though we call it an evaluation, the ultimate determination is made through observation. Autism, ADHD, conduct disorder, emotional disturbances. These are behavioral disorders. You have to observe them. You feel me? You have to see them with the naked eye. So the neurologist, there's no test that's going to tell the neurologist your son has ADHD. The neurologist has to make that call with the naked eye. And if the neurologist isn't around your son at home or in the school, how would they know if he was ADHD or not? I just think that diagnosis was unnecessary. Because all they're going to give him for that is more drugs. All he's going to get with that is more drugs. He's taking enough drugs.
On one of those psychedelic, the stuff that they put the kids that
they're going to give him Ritalin or Adderall or Concerta or Medidate. And if he's already taking 30 drugs, what do he need ADHD for?
And that's why Dad is like, we just need to move to Mexico because they don't do that.
Okay, what is the quality of schools in Mexico? I mean, maybe he do need to go with his dad. I've never been to Mexico. Too many black people die in Mexico, so I don't think I'm going to Mexico. But is their school system better than the one here?
No, but they don't. It's one of those things where it's like 13 kids in a class. You go to school for like 6 hours a day, but you also learn like agricultural, you learn music, how to play it, how to read it, how to write it.
Well, I'm going to tell you like this. If he's going to learn how to be a farmer at a school in Mexico, I think I send him to Mexico. Because if he is in fact behind, and I'm not certain he is, because a lot of this sounds like he just ain't been taught all this time. That's what it really looks like to me. But if there's a true issue there with his intellectual ability, I would rather he be in Mexico learning how to be a farmer, because he can open up his own business as a farmer. So if that's definitely something that will come out of him going to school in Mexico, plus the added psychosocial advantage of being with his father, I think I send him to Mexico. But I wouldn't send him to Mexico just to try to get out of him being properly educated, because he's still got to be taught how to read. Are they going to teach him how to read in Mexico?
I see what you're saying. And probably not to the best of American education, no. So, yeah, I got you. I totally get it. Totally. So, what I'm going to do, I'm going to schedule a private conference with you. I'm going to send you this information. We'll go from there, because at this point, I'm a little taken aback. However, I know that I have to do some work that I did not do in the beginning. So,
No problem.
There's that.
Well, keep me posted, Queen, and I pray all works well, and I'm just a phone call away. I want to see that eval, though. I want to see that eval.
Sounds good. Thank you.
No problem.
Bye-bye.
All right. Let's go to the next parent. Sterling.
Hello?
Brother Sterling, how is Chicago treating you, my brother?
Chicago's doing me well.
Okay, go right ahead with your question.
All right, so I have a twin boy. He's male. And
Your voice a little low, Brother Sterling. You on speaker? If you are, you got to take me off.
Okay, I'll get off speaker. So I have a twin boy. One of them's performing pretty well. The other one, he was proposed for an IEP by a public school here in Chicago.
Right.
And he has some issues with writing, reading. He does pretty decently in math, but still a little underperforming in most of his subjects. My concern is dygraphia, possibly.
What grade is he in?
He's in first grade.
He's in the first grade, 6 years old. I've never saw your son, but I'm not looking at no math disability for no 6-year-old first grader. I'm almost willing to bet that this is an issue of low focus, low attention, not enough practice at home, and possibly poor instruction in the classroom. And also, he may have gotten a poor preschool and kindergarten academic foundation. I ain't looking at no learning disability. 6 years old. You said first grade or kindergarten?
He's in first grade.
First grade. Nah, bro. Nah. More practice. More practice.
Okay. That's what I've been doing. I've been trying to be more hands-on when he comes home from school and write lines with him. He's a real good drawer. He draws really beautiful drawings, but when we ask him to describe those drawings with a sentence, he has a lot of struggle with that.
Okay. Yeah, man. We can't be quick to jump to these labels. The labels are not solutions. The labels are not solutions. Your son is too young for a conversation about some math disability. No. Practice. Practice, practice, practice. You might even want to get him a tutor. Find you a high-achieving high school student out there who can do some tutoring for your son. 2-3 days a week for only an hour. It don't take much. But math disability in the first grade? Nah. Maybe a lazy disability in the first grade, but it ain't no math disability. Make that boy practice, man. More practice at home.
Okay.
You feel me?
I agree.
School to prison pipeline is real, my brother. School to prison pipeline is real.
Yeah, I believe you're right about the kind of foundational work that was done in kindergarten and preschool. I don't think that they were kind of honing in academically on, teaching basic skills. There's a lot of kids in his classroom, and I don't think he was getting a lot of attention, so they recently proposed an IEP for him, so he's to be evaluated for that.
Whoa. You signed permission for him to get tested for special ed?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Okay, if I was you, I would rescind that request. I would rescind it. All you have to do is write a letter to the principal. I am rescinding. This is an official notice that I hereby rescind my permission to have my son evaluated for special education. On second thought, his mother and I are going to work with him at home, and we're going to hire him a tutor to work with him and see how he does between now and the start of next year. We are no longer interested in considering special ed for our son. Please discontinue all testing and other psychological measures at this time. Our decision is final. Thank you very much. I would rescind that. I'm not letting them evaluate my first grader for no special ed.
Okay, understood.
You feel me?
Yes, sir.
You got my number. Keep me posted if you need to reach me.
Okay, I will.
Okay, bro. Be safe. Brothers and sisters. We have to stop acting like a community of slaves. We have to stop acting like a community of slaves. We got kindergarten, first grade for learning disabilities. Kindergarten and first grade for learning. No. Get rid of the television. Get rid of the iPad. Get rid of the video games. Get rid of the toys. Put them at that table and make them do work. They're trying to turn our children into a permanent underclass, and we are helping them do it. Stop with this special ed madness. Stop with this special ed lynching. Hit your Cash App, $FDMG School. If you got a question, 215-989-9858. Text your first name and your city. Text your first name and your city, 215-989-9858. Text your first name and your city.
Hello?
Good afternoon, Sister Martinette. How's Chicago treating you, beautiful?
Excellent, excellent, excellent. How you doing?
I'm doing well, beautiful. I'm doing well. Go right ahead with your question.
Okay, my question is, I have a daughter that has cerebral palsy, and she did get the she did get the test done, but they try to get her more tests.
Okay, stop for 1 second, Sister Martinette. You said she did get the test. Now there's thousands of tests. What are you saying? She got a She got a special ed evaluation? What do you mean the test?
She got a special. Yes, that's exactly.
Okay, what grade was she in when she got the test? What grade was she in when she was evaluated?
She was in 5th grade actually.
She was in the 5th grade when she got her first eval.
Yes.
What grade is she in now?
She's sophomore in high school.
Okay, so 5th to 10th. It's been 5 years, so she's had an IEP for 5 years, correct?
Yes.
Go right ahead with your concern.
Okay, my concern is that they try to put her on more and more medicine, and I really do not want that for her. I want to, get her off that medicine because they got 2 different medicines that does the same to me. So. Okay,
then you need to have a conversation with the doctor about taking her off those meds, because what we do know is this. I'm not a medical doctor. I'm a psychology doctor. But what we do know is this. Black children are more likely to be over-medicated than any other child in this country. Okay. So there is a tendency to over-medicate our kids. I see it all the time with the behavioral drugs. You see, so your sentiment may be true that your daughter is taking too many drugs. She only needs what is absolutely necessary. Now, let me ask you this. What is the purpose of the medicines that she is taking? So, for example, when they give autistic kids medicine, they're giving them medicine to try to control behavior because autism doesn't have no cure. Cerebral palsy has no cure either. So what is the purpose of those meds? Those meds are supposed to be doing what for your daughter?
Right. They're supposed to calm her down, but they put her in a state that she's falling asleep at school. Give me what's the name?
Give me one of them drugs she's taking. Give me one. Give me the name.
I don't have nothing off back. I'm actually driving.
No problem. It's okay. But if you're telling me that they give her the meds for the same reason they give the autistic kids meds to control behavior.
Correct. My question basically is I don't want DCFS to be on me. Yeah, what is the proper way to kind of cut down?
Go through the pediatrician. Go through the pediatrician. Because she doesn't see a psychiatrist, right?
No.
Okay, you go through the pediatrician. But here's my thing. When your daughter is not under the influence of any drug, let's say you stop giving those to her, right?
Right.
What is the worst we will see from her behaviorally?
She bites herself. She bites herself.
Okay, she bites herself.
Yes.
That's not, to my knowledge, that is not an inherently cerebral palsy type of behavior. So I'm wondering if there's something else going on with your daughter that might necessitate some therapy.
Okay.
How is she intellectually?
She's a mute, so she,
Okay,
she's mute,
okay,
so
she's
she
not
has to
speaking.
pass
Okay.
like a 5-year-old.
I got you. Well, I could understand the medicine somewhat because of the biting. But here's the other question I have. I'm wondering if there's something the pediatrician could prescribe, something that could go on. Where does she do most of her biting at on her body?
On her wrists, her hands.
Because I got two questions. Number one, is there something we could put on the wrists that when she bites, it neither harms the wrist or the teeth, right? That's one thing I got. And then the other thing I got is there something we could put on the teeth that isn't too burdensome. You know what I'm saying? So when she bites, she can't really bite. So
I'm gonna look into that.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
Get her off it, to be honest, and I just didn't want to be so festive, like, stop taking her to the doctor visits. But
nah, don't do that because then they can get child services on you. Do the visits, but just tell the doctor it's no need for these meds because the only behavioral issue my daughter has is she bites herself. So what do they make for children who bite that we can put on the wrist because she's not biting nowhere else but the wrist? What can we put on the wrist? That's one. And then number two, is there something we can actually put on the teeth? You know what? Have a conversation with the dentist.
Okay.
Have a conversation with the dentist. See if the dentist has, I'm sure there's something the dentist can prescribe. We going to the next parent. Tierra, New York City. Let's see if Tierra got something to say to the people. Hit your Cash App. Hit your Cash App. Hit your PayPal. Hit your Cash App. Hit your PayPal. Sister Tierra, how's New York City treating you, beautiful?
It's treating me good.
All right. What borough are you calling from?
The Bronx.
The Bronx. Boogie down Bronx. Go right ahead with your question, my queen.
Okay, so I have a 14-year-old son, and he's not, reading well. His writing just got a little bit better. He was diagnosed with an intellectual disability.
He was diagnosed with an intellectual disability. Just so you know, queen, in the schoolhouse, we call it classify. In the clinic, we call it diagnose. So if it was the clinical psychologist, he diagnosed them with the intellectual disability. If it's the school psychologist in the school, he classified him with an intellectual disability. What grade was he in when he was classified with the intellectual disability?
5th grade.
5th grade?
Yes.
Okay, and so a child who is classified with an intellectual disability, according to federal special ed law, they must be reevaluated every 2 years. So if your son was classified in the 5th, that means he was reevaluated in the 7th, and he should have been reevaluated again in the 9th. That means you should have 3 evaluations: the initial 5th grade evaluation, you should have a 7th grade evaluation, and you should have a 9th grade evaluation. Do you have all 3 of those evaluations in your possession?
No, the only thing they do is an IEP for him.
No. The IEP is done every year. That's the learning program. But the evaluation for new IQ scores and to determine if he still meets criteria as a child with an intellectual disability, that must be done every 2 years. That is federal law. So, are you telling me he didn't get the 7th grade or the 9th grade re-eval?
No, and he's actually in 8th grade now, about to graduate, and they haven't given. I've asked, because the school system is the one that gave it to him. I've been asking, I haven't gotten anything, and I'm a little nervous because now he's transitioning into high school, and he doesn't have many options because they're just telling me, well, he's going to be District 75 in New York City. That's basically you're just limited to special education schools.
Okay, time out. I thought you said he was in, what grade is he in right now?
Now he's in 8th going to 9th.
Okay, he's in the 8th grade. So he had a 5th grade eval and he got a 7th grade eval. Just to clarify for the person on Instagram, you are incorrect. Children are evaluated every 3 years. Intellectually disabled children are reevaluated every 2 years. Pardon you, I'm the school psychologist, not you. I know the law better than you. Every 2 years, if you're intellectually disabled, you need to come to one of my black parent boot camps because you obviously don't know the law. So getting back to you, my queen. So every 2 years, intellectually disabled children must be reevaluated. So you're saying he had his 5th grade. That's what put him in. You're saying he was not reevaluated last year in the 7th grade.
No.
Okay, then they broke the law right there. Are you absolutely sure you didn't get a permission for him to be reevaluated, or did they get you to sign a waiver? Because you can waive your right to your child to be reevaluated, which you should never do. It's ridiculous. I don't even know why they came up with that rule. But are you sure you didn't sign a waiver?
I haven't signed anything. Like I said, I'm only nervous because he's transitioning into high school, and I'm like, well, what's going on? And they're like, oh.
Okay, so this is what you need to do. We got 2 things going on here. Number 1, I do not charge a consultation fee to look at your son's intellectually disabled evaluation. Okay, I don't charge for that. I normally charge $75 for a phone consultation, $100 for a virtual consultation. I don't charge anything if the child was classified as intellectually disabled. So I need you to take down my email address because I need you to email me his evaluation, the 5th grade eval. I need you to email me that. You ready?
Yes.
It's DRUMARJOHNSON@yahoo.com. DRUMARJOHNSON@yahoo.com. No period after doctor. Just DRUMARJOHNSON@yahoo.com. Okay? I need that intellectually disabled evaluation so I can look at it. Make sure you include your phone number when you send it by email. Remind me that we spoke on the Black Parent Teleconference on Sunday, March 12th. And I'm going to call you on the phone and tell you what I think. So that's the one piece, right?
Yes.
The other piece, you need to write a letter to the principal of your son's school. So you're going to send me 2 things. You're going to send me the eval, and then you're going to send me a draft of the letter that you need to send to your son's principal saying, my son was classified as intellectually disabled in the 5th grade, probably at the same school, correct?
Yes.
Okay. He should have been reevaluated in the 7th grade because federal law requires that intellectually disabled kids are reevaluated every 2 years. My son did not receive his 7th grade reevaluation. He's going to be transitioning to high school and he has yet to be reevaluated. So that's the one issue. Now, let me ask you this. When is the last time you had an IEP meeting?
We had an IEP about 6 months ago.
You had an IEP about 6 months ago.
That's the only thing that they stay on top of in that school is IEPs. Other than that, nothing else.
You know what I think we should do? I think we should request in that letter that you're going to write to the principal asking why your son has not been reevaluated against federal law, which says every 2 years for intellectually disability. And now it's time for him to transition to the 9th grade. And he hasn't had an evaluation since he was placed in special ed. You have an issue with that, and you're now requesting your federal right to an independent educational evaluation. I want you to write down IEE, independent educational evaluation. It is the right of a parent to request an independent educational evaluation if you feel that the school cannot properly and fairly evaluate your child. And because your son never received his re-eval, I believe that is enough.
The first one, I had to go through the independent way.
Well, you might got to go through the independent one this way. You probably should have contacted me back then so I could look at that eval to see if he was really intellectually disabled or not. That's another reason why you want to get that independent educational eval, my sister. That's why I want you to draft this letter. Do you really believe your son is retarded?
No.
Huh?
No, I don't.
I don't think he is either. In fact, they probably said that just to get him out the class. Was he having behavior problems?
No, it was just him not being able to keep up at all.
Okay. We want an independent because they didn't do the re-eval, and we want an independent because you don't believe he's intellectually disabled at all, and you don't want him going into high school as an intellectually disabled kid because they're going to put your son in the life skills class most likely, or very low functioning learning.
Yeah, that's one of his classes as we speak.
Your son is already getting life skills?
Yes.
Woo!
Didn't ask permission. I just
no. Oh, man.
I wasn't aware of what it even meant. So
Woo!
that's
Lord have mercy.
like, okay.
My gosh.
Yes.
Okay. It's okay. Don't blame yourself because you don't know. That's why I'm here. God sent me to help you. Do you understand?
Yes.
Do not blame yourself. It is not your fault. They manipulate our parents. They lie to y'all. They deceive y'all. Don't you blame yourself. You did not know any better. I'm here to walk you through this, and I'm going to get you through this. Don't worry about that. Okay? Get me that eval. Work on your letter. In your letter, I want you to put that my son has been getting life skills classes. I don't think he needs life skill. I believe he can learn in the regular class with the right support. And I'm requesting an independent educational evaluation. Don't worry, Queen. We're going to get through this. Work on that letter. Get me the eval. And here's the other thing, too. We're going to get the independent educational eval. We're going to get that. We might got to fight for it, but we're going to get it. They probably owe your son compensatory education. I want you to keep that in the back of your mind. If we find out he was never intellectually disabled, if they misclassified your son, they have to pay him for all that money they got while he was in special ed. They have to pay him to rectify the damages that life skills has caused in your son. So his money is going to go into a special account, and you can build a school district to get your son the services that he needs in order to catch up. Do you follow what I'm saying?
Yes.
Compensatory education. It's reparations for miseducation. Compensatory education is reparations for miseducation. So you're probably owed comp ed, and we could probably even get a private school placement out of this, but I don't want to rush too quickly with that, because if you can prove that the school district failed your special ed child, you can even make them pay for the kid to go to a private school. You know, so that's another thing.
Right.
But that's a little later though. The comp ed, the main thing right now is to find out if he really has this intellectual disability, find out why he didn't get his second evaluation, and then demand our independent educational eval. The results of that independent educational eval is going to set us up to request the comp ed in the private school if that's the way we want to go. You feel me?
Okay, I get it.
So get me that eval and work on that letter, and just text me once you email it, because I get a couple hundred emails a day. Text me once you email it so I know to go look for it.
Okay, no problem. Thank you so much.
No problem. Keep me posted.
Okay.
All right,
Have a great
Queen.
day.
No problem. One second. We're going to go to the next call. One second. Okay. Brothers and sisters, I hope I'm helping y'all. I'm a little frustrated y'all still making these mistakes. Sister Frenita, how's Syracuse, New York treating you, Queen?
It's treating me well. How are you?
I'm all right. I heard y'all got a new black Syracuse Orangeman basketball coach because Jimmy Boeheim retired, so y'all got a black man in there now. But that's besides the point.
I just hear that. That is.
Okay, so have you been to Harriet Tubman gravesite yet?
I have not. No, sir.
You better go to Harriet Tubman gravesite. I'm jealous of Syracuse for one reason. I'm not jealous because y'all live up in the cold mountains. Y'all can keep that part. But I'm jealous of Syracuse because y'all only 1 hour away from Harriet Tubman's gravesite. Y'all only 1 hour away from Harriet Tubman gravesite. So you got to make sure you get the Harriet Tubman gravesite, good sister.
I definitely do.
She's in Auburn. Just Google Harriet Tubman House, Auburn, New York. You got to check it out. But go right ahead with your question, beautiful.
Thank you so much. Okay, so my question this morning, I have a similar situation. I have a 13-year-old daughter who has an IEP. She's had for about 6 years now. They're trying to give her this behavior, her evaluated for a behavior.
Back up for a minute. She's 13. She has an IEP, correct?
Yes, correct.
What grade is she in right now?
She's in the 8th grade.
So that means she got the IEP in the 3rd grade.
Correct.
Too young for my taste, but what was the disability determination in the 3rd grade?
Mild intellectual disability.
They gave your daughter an intellectual disability in the 3rd grade.
Yes, sir.
And you didn't call Dr. Umar for 5 years. Why?
Did not get just now. Honestly, just now found you already 5 months ago.
Okay.
Just now found you.
Okay. Did you hear my conversation with the previous parent?
Yes, I have.
So you need to email me. Do you have my email address? I need to see your daughter's eval. Okay, I do not charge consultation for intellectual disability. I need to see that. My next question, do you really believe your daughter is intellectually disabled?
I don't believe she's intellectually disabled, no.
Okay, so you're probably going to have to request...
I don't know what it is. I just don't know what it is.
Okay. What are your concerns as a mother when you look at her? What can she do that other 13-year-olds can do?
Her reading, I sit down with her. We have these readings. I read with her every night. Her reading gets very... She's not on her reading level.
How much practice is she getting at home? How much practice are we making her read?
I do an hour a day. When I get off work, I do an hour a day.
Okay, because they're not going to get better at reading if they don't practice. Only about 15% to 20% of children will learn how to read easily on the first try. Most children got to practice at it. It don't mean they disabled. It just means they need to put forth more effort. You see, I also think you should get your daughter a tutor. I think you should find one of those retired teachers at one of those black churches in Syracuse, New York, and see if one of those retired teachers will work with your daughter, or one of those college students. Get you one. In fact, call Syracuse University. Call their education department. Call their education department and say, I'm wondering if you have any students in your education department who would be willing to tutor my daughter, and I'm willing to pay them. I don't have a lot of money, but I'm willing to pay them $20 a session. I'm willing to bet you could probably take her to Syracuse and get some free tutoring. I'm willing to bet.
Okay.
She needs more rigor, because Syracuse schools are not the best schools for our children.
Not at all.
Exactly. So a lot of this might have been poor instruction plus poor practice will equal poor outcomes. Poor instruction from the teacher, poor practice at home is going to equal poor outcomes. We shouldn't have got it tested in the 3rd grade. That was too early, but that's water under the bridge. I think she needs tutoring. But you were about to say that they want you to do what now? What are they trying now?
They're trying to give her, I believe it's called a behavior intervention plan. There's some type of test that they can give her that she could be follow her, like her IEP.
Okay, let me ask you this. The behavioral intervention plan is not a test. It is a process that we go through to create a behavior intervention plan, but it can't happen until we've done a functional behavioral assessment. So if you're taking notes, I want you to write down FBA. Make sure you write down FBA, functional behavioral assessment, FBA, functional behavioral assessment. And this is what you want to say to them. How can you do a behavior intervention plan if you haven't even conducted a functional behavioral assessment? Do you feel me?
Okay. Yes, sir.
Now, if they're asking for this functional behavioral assessment and behavior intervention plan, that means your daughter must be having behavior problems in school.
Absolutely.
What is she doing in school?
She just got out of, they just transferred her from one school. She was in kindergarten. She leaves class. She leaves the school. They allowed her to, she was actually on the roof of the school that she just got transferred from.
Whoa, time out. She was on the roof?
Absolutely.
How did she get up to the roof?
That's what I like to know.
How did she get up to the roof? And she's in what grade again? She's in what grade again?
She's in the 8th grade now. This happened in the 6th grade.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Does your daughter have a one-to-one aide?
She doesn't have a one-to-one aide, but she does have one for a couple of classes. But she doesn't have one that follows her every class.
So if she has the one-to-one aide, how did she get on the roof?
I guess it's as good as mine.
Okay, when she ended up on the roof, was that during a class in which she was assigned to the one-to-one aide?
You know, I didn't ask that.
You need to know that. You need to know that, because if it was, then they need a new one-to-one aide. And if it wasn't, she needs a one-to-one aide all day. You need to call an IEP meeting. We're going to wait till I look at your eval, because you might need an independent educational evaluation. But you want your daughter to have a one-to-one aide all day. You're going to tell them that needs to be a related service on the IEP, or you're not signing it.
Okay.
And then you want to ask them you want to tell them what training will this one-to-one aide have. You don't just want them grabbing somebody off the street. It needs to be somebody who's been trained.
Yes, sir.
Your daughter should have a one-to-one aide all day listed on an IEP as a related service. And there's something else. How many days this current school year, when did y'all start? August or September?
We started in September.
Okay, from September to now, how many days of suspension has your daughter received?
Days, she's had 7 suspensions.
How many total days?
So each suspension was between 3 to 5 days. So we'll give it 3. 3, 6, 9, 12, about 20 days.
Wait, time out.
Times 3. What's 7 times 3? 21?
What? You say your daughter has had over Wait a minute. Are you saying your daughter has had over 20 days of suspension?
She has been out of school more than she has been in school, sir. She got to transfer from...
And you would say at least how many days? At least.
At least 20.
Then they broke the law, sister. A special ed child cannot be suspended more than 10. 10 total.
They never let her come back. They never let her come back until after she had her... what is that meeting that you have to have when you have an IEP? Manifestation meeting. They will never let her come back. So sometime the manifestation meeting, after her 3-day suspension would be up, her manifestation meeting would be the 5 days. So she would have an extra 2 days because the meeting hadn't happened yet.
Okay.
So she'd be suspended 3, but technically out 5.
Listen. After the 10th day of suspension, they cannot suspend her anymore unless the IEP team meets and conducts the manifestation, and the manifestation must answer 2 questions affirmatively. Number 1, was the behavior related to the disability? If your daughter has been classified as intellectually disabled, of course the behavior is related to the disability. She should not have been suspended any more than 10, and they should have revised the IEP and provided your daughter with the one-to-one aid and other supports that she needed. That's number 1. Number 2, the second question, was the IEP implemented? Was it appropriate, and was it being implemented as designed? It clearly wasn't appropriate. So based on the questions, the 2 questions of the manifestation determination, they should have not been able to move your daughter at all. I think you have a big lawsuit on your hands. I think you have first of all, I don't think she's intellectually disabled. That's number 1. Number 2, she's been suspended more than 10 days. Number 3, your daughter has been denied FAPE. I want you to write down the letters FAPE. FAPE. It stands for free and appropriate public education. Please write that down because you're going to put this in your letter to the principal. FAPE, free and appropriate public education. There's definitely a war against our kids, and I thought I was helping. I don't even know if I'm helping no more, y'all. I don't.
Yes, sir. You absolutely are. And I just want to thank you for all that you do. Like I said, I wish I would have found you sooner, but now that I found you, I'm not letting go. I appreciate everything you do for us and our community, 110%, sir.
Okay, so you're going to email me the eval, and you're going to draft a letter where you're talking about your daughter being suspended more than 10 days, unjustifiably, where you're talking about the IEP being inappropriate, and where you're talking about your daughter's need for one-to-one aid. And let me ask you this, Queen, last point that's going to be in your letter. Remember, first point, I don't think she's intellectually disabled, and you're probably going to request the independent educational eval. Second point, she needs the one-to-one aid, don't have it. Third point, y'all suspended her more than 10 days, illegal, without your permission, and in a manifestation being answered yes, and I don't see how it could. And then the fourth point, are you telling me that this is the first time that they're trying to conduct a functional behavioral assessment and a positive behavior plan? Is this the first time?
Yes, sir.
So you're telling me all these years, your daughter never had a functional behavioral assessment or positive behavior plan?
No, sir.
Lord have mercy. I need you to understand this, Queen. There's no way that manifestation could have carried. There's no way that manifestation determination could have carried when your daughter never had a behavior plan. The law says every disabled child with behavior problems must have a functional behavioral assessment and positive behavior plan. Without that, the IEP is not appropriate. You have 4 major violations on your daughter. 4 major violations on your daughter. Number 1, she's probably not intellectually disabled. Number 2, she never had a behavior plan. Number 3, she never had a one-to-one aid. Number 4, they suspended her for more than 10 days without a behavior plan, a FBA, a one-to-one aid. How could they do that? So they've totally violated your daughter's FAPE, free and appropriate public education.
I'm sorry, excuse me. Thank you for that.
You got everything you need?
Yes, sir. I think
You got my number. You got my email. Send me that eval. Send me the draft of your letter. And once you email it, text me so I know to reach out to you.
Thank you so much.
Nope. Thank you, babe. Brothers and sisters, am I being effective? I mean, I've only been teaching this for over 20 years. Why are we still making these mistakes? I've been on my ministry for 20 years. Why are we still making these mistakes? I've been on my ministry for 20 years. I'm not blaming that mom. She just found out about me. But I've been teaching for 20 years. I'm all over YouTube. I'm all over the country. I'm the biggest name in black consciousness, one of the biggest names in black education. Why are we still making these mistakes? I've written 2 books that teaches you how to win. Why are we still making these mistakes? I don't understand it. Can somebody tell me why we still making these mistakes? Instagram, Twitter, help me out. Why are we still making these mistakes? Because if I'm not making a difference, I need to cancel all these speaking engagements. I need to cancel these 37 cities. I need to cancel. If we're going to keep making the mistakes, I don't need to waste my time. Lansing, Michigan, March the 18th. Kalamazoo, Michigan, March the 19th. Boston, Massachusetts, March the 20th. Terre Haute, Indiana, March the 23rd. Philadelphia, March the 26th. Jackson, Mississippi, March the 28th. Memphis, Tennessee, April the 3rd. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, April the 8th. Island of Curacao, April the 14th. Racine, Wisconsin, April the 22nd. Milwaukee, Wisconsin, April the 22nd. Ontario, San Bernardino, California, April the 24th. Pretoria and Durban, South Africa, April 27th and 28th. Beaufort, South Carolina, May 5th. Charlotte, North Carolina, May 6th. Union, New Jersey, May 7th. Island of Martinique, the Caribbean, May 18th. Durban, South Africa, May 22nd. Island of Guadeloupe, the Caribbean, African Liberation Day, May 27th. Salem, New Jersey, June 2nd. Huntsville, Alabama, June 4th. Sacramento, June 10th. Southampton, Virginia, June 17th. Louisville, Kentucky, Juneteenth. Jamaica, June 24th. St. Martin, Caribbean, June 29th. Uganda, July 25th. Zambia, August the 10th. Nat Turner, August the 24th. St. Croix, August the 25th. Amsterdam, August the 31st. Paris, August the 28th. London, August the 29th. Nat Turner, 11/11. Margate, Florida, December 2nd. Tampa, Florida, December the 15th. If I'm wasting my time, we should not still be making these mistakes. I've done thousands, more videos on YouTube than any living scholar. Why are we still making these mistakes? If you have a question about your child, text your name and your city to 215-989-9858. If you have a question about your child, text your name and your city to 215-989-9858. If you have a question about your child, text your name and your city to 215-989-9858. Okay, who else we got? 1 second. I got a young princess. This is her father. Today and tomorrow. She got to do an interview with Dr. Umar for the Classroom Project. Y'all don't know this, but I get a lot of requests from our high schoolers and middle schoolers and elementary school students to interview me for their projects. So I'm the most popular scholar amongst the youth, hands down. Nobody's more popular than me amongst the youth. Nobody's more popular than me, period. I'm the most loved and the most hated. Okay, Kalia in Wisconsin.
Hello?
Peace. Was that name Kalia or Khalil?
Yes, sir. It's Kalia, Umar.
Okay, your name is Kalia, good brother?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You live closer to Racine or Milwaukee?
I live close to Racine. That's crazy.
I will be in Racine on Saturday, April 22nd. There's a program in the morning from 10 until 12. Make sure you're in the building. And then I'll speak in Milwaukee that afternoon around 4 o'clock.
Okay. Okay.
Go right ahead with your question, my brother.
Okay. Well, first off, I just want to say thank you for everything you've done, man. For what you're doing. I've been watching you. I got hip to you from my cousin. But I got a question. I got 2 little girls. Single father. I try to keep women out of their life and stuff like that, unless I'm serious with them. But my oldest daughter, she like real nice. Like she like I try to get her to not be so mean because I know how I was when I grew up. Like I was like angry child, whatever. But I was like now I'm more loving than anything. I try to get her to do that. But she goes to school and it's like she always coming back with scratches and stuff on her face. And she tell me like some of the kids be messing with her, but I try to tell her that like I try to get her to defend herself, but it's kind of hard when I'm trying to teach her to also be loving at the same time. And then so I'm just in a like a weird situation with that. And then she with her mom, kids with her mom, I don't know about, they be scratching it too. It's just she always into something and I don't know what it is. It's like my daughter is a new person when she's not around me.
How old is she?
6.
Oh, she's still a baby. What I would do is I would get the names of all the children who've been bullying her at school, and I would write a letter to the principal requesting a meeting to find out what he's going to do or what she's going to do to stop your daughter from being bullied. With a 6-year-old, a 6-year-old girl, I wouldn't be so much in a rush to get her to, we need her to defend herself. But at the same time, at that age, she should not have to fight. At that age, the school should be fighting for her. So I would get the names of all the children who've been bullying her, and I would request a meeting with the principal to find out why nothing has been done about this yet.
Right. Okay. And like I told her when she was in preschool, I try to teach my daughter to defend herself. Like I'm sorry, but I tell her like the kid come in your face trying to hit you, whatever. Like protect yourself. I tell her, but she tells
it might not be her spirit either. You know, we all come into this world with different purposes. And your daughter may actually she may be a humanitarian type. You know, some of our children, they're the humanitarian type, almost like the Christ energy. You know, she's not a fighter. Some of us are born not to fight. It's just, she could very well be one of those special children. They don't fight. Nobody's going to make her fight. You follow? So I don't want us to, she do have to learn to defend herself. Don't get me wrong. But at the same time, I don't want us to unnecessarily corrupt her true nature so young in life. You know, when she get to 4th grade and 5th grade, she's going to have to fight sometimes. But right now, she's still in her divine essence. And I would hate for her to have to step out of character at 5 or 6 years old to become somebody she didn't come to this earth plane to be. She's a loving spirit and a true spirit, and I wouldn't be too quick to have her come up off of that at that age. We got to get on that principal and that classroom teacher and the mother as well to find out why she's not being protected.
Okay, and all right, thank you. You just gave me so much insight on that, and but actually, I'm actually enrolling her into karate kickboxing classes. What you think about that?
Oh, excellent.
Okay, cool. So I'm gonna put her in that, and So I just want her to just like I kind of not beat myself up. It's not as bad as it used to be, but like I want her to really understand that like you have to really be careful of like certain. I don't want her to walk around on eggshells, but like it's some crazy stuff like out here like. For me to put into words, she told me about her teacher, and her teacher told her some stuff. I almost went up to the school and said something to the teacher.
You should have. You should have put it on paper. You ain't got to put it on paper. See, one of the things we have to learn how to do, and I struggle with this too, as black people, our culture coming over from Africa is based on an honor system. So for us, verbal agreements are perfectly okay for us. Because we come from a culture that's based on honor. European culture is based on manipulation. So when you're dealing with Europeans, using words that you can't prove isn't going to help us. We got to put pen to paper. European culture is about pen to paper. They do not believe in spoken agreement. It must be written. So when things like that happen, you have to put pen to paper so you have a paper trail in case you ever need to put a bigger complaint against that school.
Right. Well, yeah, I appreciate you, man. I really do. I know it wasn't really a big question, but I'm really, like, I'm real, like, detailed about how I raise my kids and stuff. And I really, truly want the best for them, even though, yeah, I didn't give them the biological mom, household, family thing, but like I said, I'm doing my best. I try to keep the right women around, I'm keeping the right person around now, not just bringing anybody in there. I just want to raise them right, man. And I appreciate you a lot. I actually got put on to you by my cousin who was in Chicago. He always tell me about you. I didn't know who you were until I went on Instagram, found you. And I've been thankful ever since, man. So
I appreciate it. One more thing, bro, I'm going to throw out there that I need you to check out. It could be relevant. It may not be relevant. Yeah. Also, sometimes our children won't fight back if they're going through a depression or low self-esteem bout. So I don't know what her relationship is with her mother, but you also have to look at that side of it too. Is she not defending herself because her self-esteem has been injured? You know, does she feel worthless? Is she not getting the time with her parents that she needs? You got to look at that side of it as well. Childhood depression, they can often become bully victims and they won't speak up for themselves because they feel like they're losers.
Right. And I just picked her up yesterday, right? And like I got on the phone with her and she showed me, she was like, I want to get on FaceTime with you, Dad. And she got on FaceTime and she had a Band-Aid on her head and she had a scratch the week prior. So she got a new scratch. So when she pulled up to my house, before she got here, her mom friend, who my daughter is around, I don't really know her like that. I met her one time. She yelling in the background, just yelling. And I know I shouldn't be talking about all this, but she was just yelling. So when they pulled up, went out there and I'm talking. I'm like, so, like, what's the problem? Not in an angry way, but I'm trying to really understand and resolve it. They didn't say nothing. They said nothing. It was dead silent in the car. Okay. My daughter was just happy to see me. I grabbed her.
I think they need some counseling sessions, good brother. I think you should Google. I think you should Google black psychologists, black therapists, black counselors in your area, and you might only need 3 sessions. It don't have to be ongoing unless they find that it needs to be. But I think your daughters need somebody to talk to about the situation. Certain things they don't want to share with you. Certain things they don't want to share with their mom. I think they need a third person. I think it'd be good to get them some counseling. You know, preferably a black woman, maybe. See if you can find you a sister out there. You might got to take them to Milwaukee. I know they got black counselors there. In fact, where I'll be speaking at on April the 22nd, I know they could link you up with some counselors, but I wouldn't wait that long. I would just Google black female therapists, black female psychologists, black female counselors in your city, and get them to talk. I think they need a couple private sessions by themselves as individual children, and then a family session with you and the counselor.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I would do, you know, because you're the primary parent, understandable, but then there's some maternal issues probably going on there with their mother, abandonment, possibly whatever they feeling in their heart. I just think they need somebody to process that stuff with.
Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate you, man. Thank you.
No doubt. Be safe, King.
All right. Peace.
All right now. leash.
Hello.
Sister Alicia, how you doing, beautiful?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm okay. Where you at? What city?
I'm currently in Irving, Texas.
Irving, Texas. Okay, go right ahead with your question.
Yeah. So I have a nephew, 17 years old. He's with his mom in North Carolina. And I'm just a little bit concerned. He's a smart kid, you know, everything, but he has no aspirations for his future. You know, I always have this conversation with him. Well, what do you want to do when you grow up? You know, that conversation that you have. And he doesn't know. He doesn't know what he's not interested in anything. You know, he doesn't want to play sports. The only thing he wants to play is the video game. That's the only thing.
What grade he in?
He's in the 11th grade.
Is he spoiled?
He gets what he wants.
Then if he's spoiled, he ain't gonna be motivated. A child who gets whatever he wants and don't have to do nothing to get it, why would he be motivated to do anything? To me, this sounds more like parenting. It sounds more like a parenting issue than his issue. This is why I don't know why we spoil black kids. I do not understand why we spoil black boys and girls. I do not get it. The children who have to work the hardest in this country, we sabotage them by giving them everything, not making them do shit to earn it, excuse my French. And then when they lazy and unmotivated, we looking around for help when we're the ones who created the monster. So, I mean, I appreciate your concern for your nephew, but it's his parents who have to do something about this. You know, I would suggest trade school. I would suggest trade school because it's only 2 years and it is very, very relevant because you graduate, you know, certified or at least prepared to be certified or licensed to be an electrician, plumber, roofer, computer networker, auto body mechanic, welder. You know, there's so many trades out there. I would tell them to put him in a trade school.
Okay.
You know, I would start taking him around to some trade schools. I would still take him around to some colleges too in case he changes his mind. But if he's a lazy, unmotivated kid, there's no way I'm spending $30,000 a year on a lazy, unmotivated kid. I'm not doing that. You know, but they should start taking him around to visit some colleges or some trade school to try to get an idea of what he wants to do.
Okay. All right.
But you got to talk to them. They got to take him off that breast, that metaphorical breast.
Yeah.
You know, we got to make men. Well, what good is he going to be for somebody's daughter if he ain't got no work ethic and no go-get-it energy? We got to stop spoiling these kids, especially the boys.
Right. I mean, that's one good thing about him, though. He's not interested in girls. So he doesn't have, like, a lot of girlfriends or, you know.
Okay. Is he
hang around.
Is he interested in boys?
No.
Okay.
No, he's not interested in boys.
Okay, I got you.
I had that conversation with him too, because you never know. See, me and him, we talk. Me and him talk more than, unfortunately, him and his mom talk. He calls me for everything.
Okay.
So we talk, and no, he's not.
I got you. No problem. But yeah, they got to start getting him off the umbilical cord, start taking away some of them privileges, make him get involved in some sort of activities outside the house, you know. But I would go trade school. I would definitely go trade school. You can't lose with it.
All right.
All right, my
well,
queen.
I just wanted some sort of idea of where to go because I'm lost. I mean, nobody else seems to care. I don't know if they don't seem to care or what, but I'm...
So you're saying the parents are unbothered by it?
Well,
for the most
his
part.
mom's the only one involved right now.
Okay, so he living with a single mom.
Yeah.
She's spoiling him to death, and you know it. She's spoiling him.
Yeah.
I'm not blaming her either because the father should be there, you know. I don't blame the mom, but She's spoiling them.
Yeah.
Where's the father? Is the father still involved in the life?
No. He's gone.
Okay, well, could be an issue of depression too if the father abandoned him. Emotional abandonment, that could explain low motivation too. So you do got that piece that we got to consider as well. But I think most of it is spoilage, which could be made worse by the emotional abandonment of the dad.
Okay.
Might need some counseling. Tell the mom to get him a counselor, a couple sessions, see if there's anything going on.
I told her that, actually, because I'm in counseling myself.
Okay.
And it's helped me tremendously. And I've told her that, maybe that would help him. And she hasn't made any moves about it. So
all you can do is keep on trying to motivate her. But I'm wondering if the mother going through her own depression right now, and that's why she's feeling handicapped to do anything.
I thought about that too.
Yeah.
And I've talked to her about that too. And she says, no, I'm fine. Everything's fine.
This is what happens when the black community.
Everywhere I go, and I'm like,
this is what happens.
Trying to help y'all.
This is what happens when the black community is disorganized. I don't blame him or her. You feel me? Because there should be black men to wrap their arms around the son, and there should be black women to wrap their arms around her in the community. I don't just mean you, because you don't live in that immediate vicinity. But this is why we suffer so much as a people. We have no community infrastructure. We have no programs. We have no systems. We have no institutions. So when we have a problem, it gets exacerbated by the fault that the fact we don't have no infrastructure, no unity. So when we suffer, we really suffer because we don't have a community network to fall back on.
Right. All right.
Yeah, but therapy and therapy and trade school.
Okay.
That's
I will take your advice. I'll encourage her again for therapy. I'll encourage him for therapy, and I'll, look into the trade school situation, throw that his way, see how he feels about that. And I guess we'll go from there.
Indeed.
The only thing I could do.
Yeah, you can only do your best because you're not the mom, so.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. But keep me posted, beautiful.
All right. Thank you.
All right, now. No
Appreciate
problem. No problem. All right.
Bye.
Good morning, Sister Tiana. How's Baltimore treating you?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm well, Queen. Go right ahead with your call.
All right. So I'm calling because my daughter, she's 2 years old, and she's in the Baltimore County's Infants and Toddlers program. And because she was born 3 months early, she's been followed up by the NICU follow-up team. So we just had an evaluation with NICU follow-up down at University of Maryland. I want to say it was like a few weeks ago, like 2 weeks ago. And I feel like they keep trying to pressure me to get her tested for autism. I talked.
How old is she now?
She's 2, so she'll turn 3 in May.
Ain't no way in hell I'm letting anybody test my 2-year-old for autism. First of all, autism is not a test. You understand? There's rating scales and questionnaires that they can give you, but no test diagnoses autism. No test does that. Tests help you diagnose reading and math and academic disability. No test diagnoses autism. Autism can only be confirmed through observation by the naked eye. So there's no test, and there's no way in hell somebody's testing my 2-year-old for autism. That's insanity. But go ahead, Queen.
I agree. So last year when she went to the NICU follow-up, I guess they evaluated her, and they basically make sure that she's on track for her milestones, and they said that she was delayed. So
delayed in what?
In expressive and receptive language.
Then she might need speech. She can get speech through the pediatrician, and when she turns 3 years old, she can get speech to Baltimore Public School Special Ed Office.
Yeah, so I actually texted you last year, and you gave me advice. You told me to get an independent speech therapist. So since last year, she's talking a lot more now. She says more than 300 words. She can answer all of the questions, and she really doesn't have much of a delay. Like when they tested her, she's only like maybe a quarter behind, but that's still technically normal when they compare her to her, I guess, to her peers or the kids her age. So the problem is that every time we go, I think I'm just going to stop going, but now she has a evaluation coming up because she's about to transition out of the Baltimore County's infants and toddlers program, and they want to transition her from the ISFP to the IEP. But in order for her to...
Wait a second. When does she turn 3?
In May.
Oh, that's why they want to do the transition, because once she turns 3, she's now eligible for special ed speech services through an IEP,
Right.
which I'm not against. I would let her get tested for speech only, and when I sign permission to evaluate, I would make sure I write speech only above my name, but I wouldn't let her get tested for nothing else. She's too young for anything else, sister. Anything else, she's too young, including autism. I would tell them no way, no how, speech only until I feel I want to test it for autism. Because one of the reasons why they want to do that, I'm going to tell you why they want to do that. Number one, they want more money. They want more money. Speech kids don't get as much money as the other kids. That's number one. Number two, their autism classrooms might be lacking students. And if they're under enrolled, they're looking to put any black kid in there to make sure they got enough students so they can get that money. This is about money. This is not about your daughter.
And the thing is, Dr. Umar, she does not have, like, don't you know the symptoms for autism? Like, she does not do any of the repetitive.
Does she do any flapping, hand flapping, weird noises?
No.
Is she addicted to anything where she got to have the same spoon, same cup, same?
Not, like, they asked me that. That's why I was annoyed, because when we went to the evaluation for the NICU, it was supposed to just be about milestones, but they literally were asking me autism questions. Then I ended up finding out that they changed the doctor who was supposed to be like the developmental pediatrician. They changed it to an autism doctor, and the whole time she was trying to pressure me to get her tested or evaluated for autism, and they kept talking about ABA therapy and
Nah, they trying to get that money. Money.
Yeah.
It's about money. Don't do it, Queen. Stand on your square. Tell them speech and language only. Okay? And then when they give you the evaluation form, make sure you write speech only. Write it right above your name. Write it. I don't care where you write it, but make sure it's written on there large, so nobody can come back talking about something. Well, we tested her for autism because we thought you agreed to it. No, I didn't. I put speech only right above my name. Y'all know damn well the only thing I said I wanted her tested for was speech and language impairment.
And I feel like my major delay with even putting her in the IEP is that I feel like they just keep trying to pressure. Like, they always try to find something.
Yeah, because they want that money. But there's nothing wrong with the IEP if we keep it to speech. Because speech kids don't go to a special class. All they do is get pulled out for therapy.
How would you feel if I just kept her in? Because she does independent speech through my insurance.
Okay, if you cool with that, and if you think that's sufficient, I would drop all their services then.
I feel like I want to,
Yeah, go ahead and drop them. You don't need them. You're doing it on your own. You're doing it the Marcus Garvey way. Out of pocket and on my own.
Yeah,
ain't nothing wrong with that system.
Without you, because I don't like the pressure. I feel like with the school system, they just keep trying to push on autism and all these different delays. And literally, when they tested her and asked her all the questions, my daughter can answer all of the questions. And again, I have some autism people in my family, and I know what signs to look out for. She does not have any of those signs. She's social. When people come into the room, she acknowledges them. She goes over and says hi. When she's in her gymnastics class, she chases after the kids. They chase after her. So
Oh, she ain't got no autism. So you telling me she ain't got no social skills delays?
At all.
Oh, hell no. Hell, ain't no such thing as autism without no social communication delays. That's the whole heart of autism. Verbal and nonverbal communication. If you socially appropriate, how the hell are you autistic? That's impossible. It's a communications disability.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, so I think I'm going to just do independent. So, last question for you. Because she's a part of the ISFP, do I have to send a letter in saying that I don't want the services anymore?
Yes. This is an official notice that I'm hereby requesting termination of all early intervention services.
Okay. I'll do that.
You good. And you can always restart it later if you change your mind.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate it.
No problem, beautiful. All right. That's what we need right there. Mom said, I'm going to handle this out of my own pocket on my own. Okay. Who else we got? Patrice from Detroit.
Please leave your message for 2489. Hello?
Sister Gwendolyn, how's New Jersey treating you?
Great. Great.
Go right ahead with your
How are
question,
you?
beautiful.
Good. Okay. So I'm having issues with my 9-year-old. She started school. Well, she's 9 years old. She's in 4th grade this year. Everything was okay last year. She had a classmate she was friends with. It was very close. And then, I don't know, like, they had a falling out last summer. So she went into the school year, okay. But he was in her class this year. So it was like, she just got slowly declining with the, she's not focusing. She's not listening to me. She got behavior problems because he was very disrespectful to his mom and his family. So I think she caught a little bit of that from him. And then she just like slowly declined and everything towards the end of the year. She didn't want to go to school. She, every time I woke her up for school, she was like, I don't want to go. Like, I had to fight every day, to get her out of school. To get her into school every morning. So it was like a struggle with that. Then she caught COVID from being in school. So then she was like, she didn't want to go back. After she caught COVID, she was out the week or whatever. She didn't want to go back. Now it was like, it was so bad, I had to take her out of school. So now she's home.
And you had to take her out of school for what reason? Behavior or what?
I took her out because I was like, I felt like I was like, she had too many days out because she was sick the whole time she came back to school in September. She kept getting sick because they didn't have masks on. She kept getting sick. I told her to keep a mask on, but she still caught COVID, and other things like that. So, she just was complaining all the time. Like, I don't want to go to school. I'm like, why? She just kept complaining, and I made her go. But I eventually took her out because it became too overwhelming for me to, like, every day, like, fighting with her.
And her reason, okay, she was not being disruptive.
No, not in school.
She just didn't want to be there.
Right, and not just that. It was like she's saying that, I think that she was feeling like depressed. She was like, nobody wants to talk to me in school. The friend that she was with, he was spreading rumors saying that, saying like crazy things about her to the classmates that she was friends with. So I think that she felt that they was taking his side. And then she had so many days out.
What grade is she in?
So
what grade is she in, Queen? What grade?
She's in 4th grade.
She in the 4th grade. You took her out. How much school has she missed? She's been out since when?
She's been out since like it wasn't like continuous. It wasn't like like every day. It was just like here and there. She's out 5 days because she's sick. She's out here 5 days, so she missed a lot already. And then she caught COVID, so she was out another.
I would go trade school. I would definitely go trade school. You can't lose with it. Can't lose with it.
All right.
All right, my
well,
queen.
I just wanted some sort of idea of where to go because I'm lost. I mean, and nobody else seems to care. I don't know if they don't seem to care or what, but I'm.
So you're saying the parents are unbothered by it?
Well,
for the most
his
part,
mom's the only one involved right now.
Okay, so
And
he living with a single mom.
Yeah.
She's spoiling him to death, and you know it. She's spoiling him. She's spoiling him.
Yeah.
I'm not blaming her either because the father should be there. You know, I don't blame the mom, but she's spoiling him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where's the father? Is the father still involved in the life?
No. He's gone.
Okay, well, could be an issue of depression too if the father abandoned him. Emotional abandonment, that could explain low motivation too. You know, so you do got that piece that we got to consider as well. But I think most of it is spoilage, which could be made worse by the emotional abandonment of the dad.
Okay.
Might need some counseling. Tell the mom to get him a counselor, a couple sessions, see if there's anything going on.
I told her that, actually, because I'm in counseling myself.
Okay.
And it's helped me tremendously. And I've told her that, you know, maybe that would help him. And she hasn't made any moves about it. So
all you can do is keep on trying to motivate her. But I'm wondering if the mother going through her own depression right now, and that's why she's feeling handicapped to do anything.
I thought about that too.
Yeah.
And I've talked to her about that too. And she says, no, I'm fine. Everything's fine.
This is what happens when the black community.
Everywhere I go, and I'm like,
this is what happens.
Trying to help y'all.
This is what happens when the black community is disorganized. I don't blame him or her. You feel me? Because there should be black men to wrap their arms around the son, and there should be black women to wrap their arms around her in the community. I don't just mean you, you know, because you don't live in that immediate vicinity. But this is why we suffer so much as a people. We have no community infrastructure. We have no programs. We have no systems. We have no institutions. So when we have a problem, it gets exacerbated by the fault by the fault that the fact we don't have no infrastructure, no unity. So when we suffer, we really suffer because we don't have a community network to fall back on.
Right. All right.
Yeah, but therapy and therapy and trade school.
Okay.
That's
Well, we'll take your advice. I'll encourage her again for therapy. I'll encourage him for therapy, and I'll, you know, look into the trade school situation, throw that his way, see how he feels about that. And I guess we'll go from there.
Indeed.
The only thing I could do. You know?
Yeah, you can only do your best because you're not the mom, so.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. But keep me posted, beautiful.
All right. Thank you.
All right, now. No
Appreciate
problem. No problem. All right.
Bye.